Welcome to my channel. My name is Holly and today I'm going to show you how I made these tropical Christmas V-split tumblers using two different patterned adhesive vinyls and some glitter. I will link all the products that I used below and let's get started. I bought both of these vinyl patterns from the Vinyl Cottage last year after Christmas was over. These patterns are called Aloho Ho Ho and they're patterns number 8 and 9. Vinyl Cottage still has them. I just checked the website, so I'll link it below. What I've done is I've used my Cricut machine to cut these into 3 pieces, and I would share how I did that, but I cut these a long time ago, and they've just been sitting there waiting for me to use them, so I do not have anything saved to show you how I did that. But basically what I did is I just shaped my 12 by 12 piece of vinyl. I did a 12 by 12 square using the Cricut machine on Cricut Design Space. And then I popped in a triangle, and then I popped in a 1-inch outline around the triangle, and I just cut. I sent those cuts to my Cricut machine, and it just cut my 12 by 12 patterns of vinyl into 3 pieces. And so I've taken out the middle 1-inch strip because I'm not going to use that. Instead, I'm going to use glitter. And I am using those 2 vinyl pieces to mix and match on 2 different tumblers. So one tumbler is going to have the blue vinyl on top, and one tumbler is going to have the blue vinyl on the bottom. And in between, I will have a 1-inch section of glitter. This painter's tape that I'm using is 1 inch thick, so I am just using that as a guide. It's not going to serve any other purpose. It's just going to make sure that I leave that 1-inch straight space in the center so that when I apply my glitter section is even all the way around. And then I'm going to use that vinyl as sort of the starting point for the vinyl that I'm going to put on the bottom. So I'm going to butt that bottom vinyl right up to that painter's tape, wrap it around the tumbler, and then remove the painter's tape to begin applying my glitter. With that top triangle piece on and that 1-inch strip of tape, I know that everything underneath it is going to be this second piece of vinyl. So when I cut the vinyl on the Cricut machine, I didn't have any tumbler in mind, so I didn't have any specific measurement. So what I've done is I've trimmed off some of the edge pieces, and then I also trimmed off the bottom to expose some of that stainless steel, kind of matched it up with my eyes, and then I'm going to take off the backing and just start wrapping it around the tumbler to fit right up next to that piece of tape. It does bug me a little bit that the snowman on the back side of that isn't going to line up perfectly, but it was so cute that it didn't bug me enough not to use it. And so I just kind of overlooked that part, and it wasn't a deal breaker for me. So I'm going to go ahead and use that piece of vinyl anyway, even though the snowman doesn't line up perfectly right there at the seams. I love the Vinyl Cottage's vinyl because their vinyl has a little bit of a stretch to it. It's a very soft vinyl and very easy to lift back up and reapply. So you can tell that I kept getting it stuck on, and it was sort of bubbling and wrinkling under there. I just kept lifting it up and reapplying it. I didn't have any issues at all. So that's a big, huge bonus to buying from the Vinyl Cottage. So I just reapplied, kept peeling it up until I had a perfect match all the way around my tumbler. Once I had that matched up, I peeled off that center painter's tape strip and then used my little edging tool that has a dull blade. So it wasn't cutting all the way through every little section of vinyl. So I had to keep repositioning and rotating and cutting again. But this little edging tool I got from Amazon, I will link it below. I need to find out if they have replacement blades because this blade is dull. This tool has those little spacers, so when I cut the top of the tumbler and peeled off the little slivers of vinyl, I took most of the spacers out because I wanted a very small edge, but when I flipped it over to cut the bottom of the vinyl, I added spacers in because I wanted to lift that blade to give me more stainless steel exposure on the bottom because I'm going to glitter the base the same color that I glitter the strip in the middle. I am repeating the exact same steps with a smaller tumbler. So I'm taking a triangle piece, placing it on the tumbler kind of where I think I want it, and then measuring out a 1-inch strip with the painter's tape, and then placing the remainder of the second pattern of vinyl on the bottom. Now that the vinyls are applied, these tumblers are both ready to start applying the glitter, and I'm using Helios glitter glue to apply the glitter to both tumblers. So I'm just going to take the Helios glitter glue with a about a 1/2 inch straight paintbrush to very carefully paint on the glue where the stainless steel is exposed. And then I'm going to, on the bottom and the 1-inch strip, I'm going to let that glue dry until it is clear. When it's clear and you touch it, it should be tacky. And when it's tacky, it has amazing stick. So I love using this glue for glitter application. So I'm going to let this dry until it's clear, and then I'm going to sprinkle the glitter all around the exposed stainless steel areas. This is a chunky glitter mix, so it has some fine glitters and chunky mixed in with it, and it looks really super pretty just straight over the top of stainless steel without any base color. That stainless steel kind of makes the glitter sparkle a little bit more because this glitter has some silver in it. It's a very pretty mix from the Glitter Dip Sips, and it is still available on her website. I just went and checked to make sure. It is called Jack, and it's a chunky mix. After that glitter glue is completely dry, I roll it in my parchment paper to squish down any of the chunky pieces that are poking up a little bit, and then use a very soft brush and gently swipe down across the glitter just to loosen up and drop off any of the pieces that might just be hanging on by a thread. And the exact same thing with the second tumbler. Roll it and remove any of the excess glitter pieces. I have pieces of my video that deleted. I deleted a chunk of videos from my phone because the memory was too full. I didn't have enough space, and one of the videos I deleted went to this recording. So I'm super upset with myself. What I deleted was showing me how I applied my quick coat onto my tumblers to seal in that glitter. So I just used a gloved hand and poured some quick coat onto my glove and wiped it over the top of the glitter portion to seal that in and let that dry. While that was drying, I went ahead and I cut my vinyl strips to use to outline my V-splits. I insert a square, resize that square to 0.06 inches tall by 11.5 inches wide, and then duplicate as many times as you need to. And then what you're gonna get is you're gonna have the thicker strips that are the 0.06 inches tall, and then in between each strip, you're gonna have a vinyl outline, and I use both of those to outline my tumbler. So that piece of the video also got deleted. And I could cry, you guys, I wanted to cry. I had already done my voiceover and everything, and then when I came back, it was gone. So I am just going to show you with the completed tumblers what I did to apply those strips. It's not the same as seeing me do it in real time, but at least I can try to explain to the best of my ability how I applied those strips to my tumbler. Okay, so you can barely notice the difference between the 0.06. The 0.06 is that strip on top, and then the strip in between that was separating the 0.06 is the one that's outlining the glitter V-split. And so I put the smaller strip next to the bigger strip on both the top and the bottom. So what I did is I started with that V split at the very tip where they met, and I brought my strip down across the tumbler at a diagonal all the way to the bottom. And then I did it on the other side too, all the way down until it crossed on the bottom. And then I flipped my tumbler upside down and then outlined the bottom of the V-split all the way down to the front, and then I just kept doing that, flipping my tumbler back and forth, adding the outlines, and then when the outline met at the point, I cut the excess off at a 90-degree angle so that they overlapped. I know that some people like to miter their cuts, like if you're making a quilt and you miter the corners so that they match up and there's a seam from the corner edge to the inside of the corner. I don't miter my corners. It's just easier for me to do the 90-degree cuts. And so I did that all the way around my tumblers and just crisscrossed my strips until I liked the way they looked, and they looked interesting but not too busy so that they didn't take the attention away from the pattern on the vinyl. And with the 16 ounce, that was really easy. I just did 2 strips. So one of those is the 0.06 width and the other strip is the one that's in between the 0.06 width. So I am so sorry I deleted my video. I can't believe I did that. Next time I know not to dump my garbage until I've sent the entire iMovie voiceover to my MacBook so that it doesn't disappear. I don't know why I did that. I'm super upset. But I hope that you can kind of understand how I did those strips. And so you're seeing the finished product before it's finished. One of these tumblers is going to go to my friend. She can pick which size she wants. And she lived in Hawaii for some time, and whenever it's Christmas time in the classroom, we discuss and share Christmas traditions from around the world. So during this time, she would come in. She was a para at the time, but now she's a teacher. But she would come in and help in the classroom, and she would share how you would say in Hawaii, how they say Merry Christmas. So I'm probably going to botch it, but I think it is Mele Kalikimaka. I hope that's how you say it. I wasn't sure about the color. So this is a blue, kind of a sea foamish green blue that matched the little flip-flops that the snowman is wearing. And it just wasn't doing it for me. It needed something else. I didn't want to just do gold because there's so much gold striping on the tumbler. I thought the gold was too much. So I peeled off that sea foamy color and I did an offset, and then I cut the offset in the gold. And then I put the blue back on over the top of the gold, and then I was really happy with it. I thought that looked nice with the 2 different colors. I think both of those layers of vinyl also look really nice over that white patterned vinyl. So once the vinyl is placed, I just let it sit to adhere a little bit. It's a permanent vinyl, so the longer you let it sit, the more it adheres to it. And I took it outside and I spray sealed it with 1 coat of Rust-Oleum clear glass, but that was not quite enough protection for me to feel comfortable applying my epoxy. So after that clear gloss was dry, I went ahead and went over it with a coat of Quick Coat. I let that dry completely, and then I put on a layer of epoxy. After this dries for about a day, because this is not I didn't use a fast setting epoxy again. I want to make sure I don't have any micro bubbles in this, because with that dark vinyl, the blue, whenever I'm using a dark vinyl or a dark base on my tumbler and I use a fast setting epoxy, sometimes it's really difficult for me to get those bubbles out. You can't really see them very well on light colored surfaces, but on the dark base, it really is upsetting when you come to check your tumbler and you can see it sort of looks foggy, and it's because of those micro bubbles, and I don't like that at all. So I didn't want to take a chance on this, so I just used a regular epoxy that will take about a day to cure, and then I might need to apply 1 more coat because there was still a little bit of the chunky glitters that I could feel around the bottom edge of that tumbler, but we'll see. With the KSRESIN epoxy, it can take being torched better than some epoxies I've used. So I always give this a quick pop with a torch up and down the tumbler and then side to side quickly, and then I'm just ready to let it sit. And you already saw the finished product because I messed up, but here they are again. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below, and I will list all the products I used. Thank you so much for watching.